You know that feeling, right? It's one of the most frustrating things in the world. You are completely out, sound asleep, and then, boom, you're not. You peek at the clock, and those numbers just glare back at you. 3 a.m. If that sounds a little too familiar, well, you're definitely in the right place. We're going to break down exactly why this happens and, more importantly, what you can do about it tonight. So let's just get right into it. That moment when your eyes snap open in the dead of night and your brain just decides, yep, it's go time, hours before your alarm is even thinking about going off. Why? Why does this happen so often? Okay, first things first. If you find yourself wrestling with your pillow at 3 in the morning, please know you are so far from being alone. This is an incredibly common thing. It's not some kind of personal failure or a sign that you're broken. It's actually a super widespread pattern, and it has real identifiable causes. And I mean really common. According to the Sleep Foundation, over 35% of American adults wake up around 3 a.m. at least 3 times a week. Think about that. That's more than 1 in every 3 people. So the big takeaway here is that this isn't some weird quirk. It's a shared struggle, and it has deep roots in both our biology and our psychology. So let's start with the hardware, your body. What is actually going on inside that makes these early morning hours such a vulnerable time for our sleep? Well, it turns out it's all about timing. Pretty much everything in your body is run by this internal master clock, your circadian rhythm, and it's not just about feeling sleepy or awake. It's controlling your hormones, your body temperature, your metabolism, all in these predictable cycles. And right there, in the middle of the night, a few of these cycles line up perfectly, creating what's basically a biological weak point in your sleep. And this is where a perfect storm starts brewing, right around 3 a.m. See, you're naturally shifting from that deep, restorative sleep into lighter sleep. At the exact same time, your core temperature is bottoming out, and this part is key, the stress hormone cortisol starts its slow, natural climb to wake you up in a few hours. Now, if your blood sugar also dips, your body might release even more cortisol as a kind of alert. Any one of these things could nudge you awake, but all of them together, that's a powerful trigger for wakefulness. But waking up is only half the battle, isn't it? The real problem is staying awake with your mind just racing. This little biological hiccup is what opens the door for a full-blown psychological trap. This quote from Dr. Suzanne Gorovoy just nails the core issue. If you're already feeling stressed or anxious during the day, your brain doesn't really switch all the way off at night. It stays in the state of, well, hypervigilance, kind of scanning for threats. And that makes your sleep much more fragile and way more easily disrupted by those biological shifts we just talked about. And that's when the spiral kicks in. A brief, totally normal wake-up gets hijacked by what psychologists call catastrophizing. Your brain, which is now fully on, latches onto a worry. And in the quiet of the night, with zero distractions, that one little worry can escalate with terrifying speed into this full-blown crisis about your job or your relationship or your health. So what do we do in that moment? Well, our instincts often betray us. We lie there trying to force sleep to happen. We check the clock, which just fuels our anxiety. We reach for our phone, which basically screams good morning to our brain. The proven strategies, on the other hand, feel completely counterintuitive. Get out of bed, ignore the time. The key here is to break that cycle of anxiety by shifting your focus away from trying to sleep and toward calming your system. Okay, so we get the biology and we get the psychology. Now for the practical part. Here is a toolkit of strategies you can use the very next time you find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night. Seriously, if you take only one piece of advice from this entire explainer, let it be this. Checking the clock is the single biggest mistake. All it does is create anxiety. It triggers that horrible mental math. Okay, if I fall asleep right now, I'll only get 3 more hours, which just ratchets up the stress. So turn your alarm clock around, or even better, put it across the room. Just don't look. Now, this is the one that sounds the craziest, but it's based on a core principle of sleep therapy called stimulus control. The goal is to break the connection your brain is forming between your bed and the frustrating feeling of being awake. Your bed should be a signal for sleep and relaxation, not for anxiety and worry. So, you get up, you go to another room, keep the lights as dim as you possibly can, and do something genuinely calming. Read a book. A real one, not on a screen. Listen to some soft music, maybe have a cup of caffeine-free tea. The goal isn't to make yourself tired, it's to break that cycle of negative thinking and just allow sleepiness to come back on its own. What you're really trying to do here is activate something experts call the relaxation response. It's the physiological opposite of that fight or flight mode your anxious brain is stuck in. By consciously doing calming things, you can actually signal your nervous system to stand down, which slows your heart rate, deepens your breathing, and makes sleep possible again. And one of the fastest ways to trigger that response is through controlled breathing. The 4-7-8 technique is incredibly powerful. Let's just walk through it real quick. You exhale completely. Now inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for a full 8 seconds. Just repeating that 4 times can have a really noticeable calming effect on your entire body. And hey, if breathing exercises just aren't your thing, there are other great options. A guided meditation or even a familiar audiobook can give your racing mind something else to focus on. A body scan where you just bring gentle awareness to each part of your body, from your toes to your head, is another fantastic way to ground yourself in the moment and let go of tension.
So those in-the-moment tools are absolutely essential. But if we want to stop waking up in the first place, we need a long-term strategy to build more resilient, more consistent sleep.
The single most effective, evidence-based, long-term solution for chronic insomnia is something called CBTI. And it's not about pills. It's a structured program that helps you reset your unhealthy sleep habits and reframe those unhelpful thoughts that are fueling the insomnia. You can think of it as a training program for your brain. CBTI is built on a few core pillars. Sleep restriction. Sounds intense, I know, but it works by consolidating your sleep and making it deeper. Stimulus control is exactly what we talked about, getting out of bed when you're not sleeping. And it's all supported by those relaxation techniques and good foundational sleep hygiene. And this stuff is that foundation. These are kind of the non-negotiables. A consistent sleep schedule, yep, even on weekends, stabilizes your body's clock. Avoiding things like caffeine and alcohol in the evening prevents them from messing with your sleep. A cool, dark, quiet room removes distractions. And a wind-down routine signals to your body that, hey, it's time for rest. Now, while all these strategies are incredibly effective, it's also really important to know when the problem might need professional medical advice, because sometimes self-help isn't enough. It's so important to pay attention to these signs. If your insomnia is persistent and it's really impacting your daily life, it's time to talk to a professional. Waking up gasping for breath could be a sign of a serious condition like sleep apnea. And if physical pain or big mood changes are part of the picture, it's essential to rule out any other underlying medical or mental health conditions. But at the end of the day, waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't have to be your nightly reality. By understanding this complex dance between your body's clock and your mind's anxieties, you can start using the right tools, both in the moment and for the long haul. Your bed should be a sanctuary, a place of rest, not a battlefield. You absolutely have the power to reclaim your night.